Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Akriti Srivastav. Welcome to our live session on cybersecurity predictions for 2023. Now, the world has had a rough time these past couple of years, and the pandemic has put us all inside and online. In this digital age and space, I can't say I know people who haven't had experiences with scams or attacks on their cybersecurity. A big example of this is the whole country of Costa Rica, whose government had to declare a national emergency due to ransomware attacks on their public and health systems. This cost them millions, and they had to bring in external help from other governments and companies like Microsoft for resolution. Unfortunately, cyber attacks are increasingly common today, and that's why it's important to understand how cybersecurity will change in the year ahead. To explore this topic further, today we're joined by Mr. Abhishek Mitra, who is the founder and CEO of Indian Cybersecurity Solutions. He's also the CEO and founder of Indian Institute of Cybersecurity, CyberSecOps, India Trex, and Wonders Girl e-commerce. His background is an MBA in business management and marketing, with an additional PGPM certification in entrepreneurship and retail management. He's also an ISMS lead auditor 27001 and certified ethical hacker. He's been covered by many national news channels such as Aaj Tak, Z News, ABP News, R Press News, and was featured on the cover page of Silicon India's technical magazine. In 2019, he was recognized as one of the 25 most valuable CEOs in India and has lived up to that title many times. He was one of the first pioneers to hack into the servers of the Islamabad airport back in 2016, and he was the first one to detect OTP bypassing on the Cowen website during the pandemic, and informed the Indian government of the same. Please join me in welcoming one of the most renowned cybersecurity specialists of India, Mr. Abhishek Mitra. Hello, sir. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you, Akriti, for having me here.
My pleasure, sir. We're excited to discuss with you these predictions that you have for the upcoming year in the space of cybersecurity. So we have a few questions for you that are prepared, and we would also be taking audience questions at the end of the session.
Great, great.
Um, so let's just get started. Let's get right into it. So recently, I find consumers and customers are asking for a greater transparency in policies that govern their right to digital privacy. Can you give us your take and your predictions on this?
See, the take is like we already know about GDPR, which is being there for the European Union countries, right? There
Right.
are other data privacy rules and regulations governing other parts of the world. But the point is, we already have one, which is going to be the Digital Data Protection Bill, which is in 2022, which has been amended. It was first Personal Data Protection Bill. So we'll talk about that in later. But the future scope of thinking as an individual of getting protected in this wild web is to definitely make sure that our personal data are not being misused. Okay, so there are the
Correct.
two different kind of data, right? There's personal data and there's non-personal data. So for example, if a data of a person who is weight is 84 kgs, okay, is being there available, okay, for the companies to use it, okay, that is a non-personal data because that is cannot be that is personal, okay, but that cannot be identifying an individual, right? So
Correct.
once my individual identity, okay, my biometric scans, right, and other personal data, okay, my name, my date of birth, everything, okay, so those data need to have the right of privacy. That is where we'll be talking about for the data, the digital data protection bill, which is in
Right.
India. And yes, the concerns were there, government is acting on it, and we will be having some robust protection for the citizen of India in coming future, right? Definitely, but that's on the cards.
Okay, that's so good to hear because as a citizen, I always worry about, my data being safe and my data being protected, especially in an age, like I mentioned, where hacking and cybersecurity breaches are, happening more and more often.
Right,
So
right.
You've spoken a lot about personal privacy. What about enterprises? Like, the future of enterprises, specifically like the single vendor solution for cybersecurity?
See, enterprises are relying on, they are taking it, the vulnerabilities very seriously, the vulnerabilities which are causing millions of dollars of impact on their business continuity, right? So
Mm-hmm.
the enterprises definitely now is focusing on having a single platform wherein they'll get all the informations of their entire IT infrastructure, right? And
Ah, I
that
see.
can be monitored and being managed, and the decision makers can have a 360 view of entire architecture or entire IT system, right? So that is where we are heading to, because see, there had been CISOs, right? In companies, there are small and medium sized companies who are taking cybersecurity very seriously. But the
Right.
point is, if they are going for an penetration testing to get compliant to some of the compliances, that's a one of time incident which is happening for like in span of 3 months or 6 months, right? Or even in a year. But that's for only for compliances, right? So
I see.
now the point is, if I'm really concerned about my security, right, I need to go and test all those parameters and all the IT infrastructure on a regular basis, or even with a shorter time period, like even 15 days, 10 days, 5 days. Okay, so having continuous monitoring requires a huge amount of investment from the enterprises part, right? So
Right.
there's no quantifying way of like how much secure my company is it giving a score to me? No, right?
No.
There's nothing to, like, if there is uh, my business is working on these guidelines, or for example, these are the industries where my business is working, right? What kind of data theft or data breach will actually be impacting more, depending on the, or comparing to any other company working in other industry, right? So there's no
Right.
quantifier telling me how much I am at risk. Okay, and then the part of insurance comes in, right? The cyber insurance. Okay, now if a fintech company wants to insure a business, okay, or they have a product to insure a business, okay, thus the business can show them, right, how much secure they are in, so that they can be funded, or kind of a loan given, or on an insurance given
Right.
on a cyber or cyber security, like cyber insurance, right? So
Right.
to quantify that, you need to have some score, like an individual. If I and you want to go take a loan, my civil score will be there to show me how
Correct.
much I'll be able to repay, right? So there's no kind of an score which can tell you how much loan can be given,
Yes.
or an insurance can be given to you. Because once
And
this
and how
kind of,
secure your company is.
right, how secure your company is
Yes.
in future, how much you are taking seriously your cyber security,
Yeah.
right? So once this data protection, digital data protection bills comes, converts into an act, right? So once individual data is being protected, right,
Mhm.
definitely there will be enterprises who are will be subjected to fines, right, because of not protecting it in a legal way, right? Once they
Right.
are subjected to fines, they will be definitely going for cyber insurance. So the prediction
Mm.
for 2023 will be more on getting cyber insurance for enterprises.
Ah,
Okay, so once this
yes.
cyber insurance comes into play, they need to show how much they are taking cybersecurity seriously.
Seriously.
How they are protecting the data of individuals which they are collecting. So that's important.
That's a very good point about cyber insurance and maybe not necessarily having a measurable parameter. So, in addition to this, what other cybersecurity products or services do you think will enter this cyberspace?
As I'm telling you, like as I was telling you, that the there are different products, okay, to measure different infrastructures, okay, or to give certain or they, like a CISO, they need to rely on numerous tools and softwares, right, and applications, right, to give them a correct understanding of the security posture of the company, right. There is no single platform which can show collect entire data and show it to even to a non-technical person, and he can understand how much they are at risk, what are the things that
Mhm.
need to be done, and if they need to do it, what recommendations are available, and
Right.
on that you can take an action. So the delay of not taking an action and keeping that vulnerability, okay, open, okay, is getting reduced.
I see.
So
Um,
these kind of products which will give them an overview of the entire IT infrastructure security, okay, and how much they are close to get compliance to different compliances like HIPAA, PCI DSS, or ISO 27001, or even GDPR, right? So, and what measures they need to take, right? So it becomes simplified, easy way to rely on a kind of a software which gives an integrated thing solution, okay, and also have a platform wherein you can also integrate the tools which you are already using to give you a better understanding of the threat landscape and how much you are working on it.
that's a very important thing, I think, to be able to integrate tools that the company is already, familiar with and already using.
Right.
And now that you've said these things as being important towards security, do you think the tools for risk assessment will change? Because you mentioned tools for security, but what about tools for risk assessment?
See, these are the tools for risk assessment itself. So vulnerability management and risk
I
assessment.
see.
So these you, for example, if you need to do a cloud penetration testing or see your cloud application, okay, is secure, okay, or not, okay, or how much it is secure,
Right.
you need to go for the penetration testing, right, and then you need to understand, right, and then you need to take action. You also have your infrastructure, like your web-based applications or SaaS products, right? You need to do a web application pen testing. You have your office network. You need to do your network testing, or you need to have a SOC, okay, which gives you continuous monitoring of the IT infrastructure. So you need to rely on different things. You have work from home, right? Work from home is working like if everyone is having a hybrid system. Gone were the days where people were only thinking it can be like people can work from office. It's hybrid and employees are liking it, right?
Right.
Everybody is comfortable with it thanks to COVID, okay, and we are being prepared for it. So but the threat landscape has changed due to this. Why? Because people are working from home, they're using devices which are not connected directly. Some of the companies are not getting those VPNs into actively working on it, and they're not keeping all the applications on the same network, right? So
Right.
there, there is a requirement for access controls even in that sense. Okay, for example, if you and I working in a company, right, dealing
Hmm.
with sensitive data, okay, and we are connected to a VPN which is only being allowing us to get an access through your username and your password. For example, if you at that point of time is not sitting there, or your ID and password is being like somebody else is having it, right, and he's accessing
Right.
it through your ID and password and getting into that VPN, right?
Right.
So what kind of products will help in this kind of a scenario is this multi-factor authentication. Okay, so for example,
Right.
multi-factor, you can send OTPs, but OTPs can be also be read by somebody else and can be like if the device is with him or her, right, who's wanting to hack you, right? So
Correct.
but the biometric scan which is being required to open your mobile device, okay, is being used by an application that is authenticating you, that is the multi-factor authentication, and allowing you an
Right.
access to the company's data, okay, or where you are working on that environment, okay. So you are limiting the risk of internal threat as well. So as a CISO, you need to see all those threat landscape in a depending on different tools. Okay, there is no single tool which is giving the entire thing at one go. Okay, with actionable decision making things. Okay, with AI based generations, like AI based solutions to you, so that you can apply, and there's no historical data where you have applied those measures. Okay, and then what are the changes which is happening on a real time basis, right? And even you're
Right.
relying on some other tools, those tools can be integrated to this platform, right? So this is
Ah, I see.
this kind of an infrastructure or tools that will help the CISOs to, like, at least have some alarming situations read by them. Okay, or they can think on those lines pretty easily. Okay, these are the kind of applications which will be helping. So risk management and risk assessment is being easier,
I
and will
see.
be easier because applications like this will be coming in future. Cybersecurity framework will be there.
That seems very like a very important now system to come into place. I agree with you. We do have a comment and a question. It's related to your question, your important point on cyber insurance. So you can see on the screen now, it says which companies should go for cyber insurance. Thank you. That's a very lovely question, sir.
Yeah, yeah. See, and that's very important because you are dealing with datas of consumers, okay, or
Right.
citizens of the countries, right? They have their uh, like protections, the privacy rules, the legislations, the acts which can uh, protect their rights, right? So that means there will be stringent action against any companies who are dealing with customers or having personal data, storing them, right? One.
Mhm.
Second, there are compliances for every industries that you need to adhere to, or work like, if you need to work on those industries, like for example hospital or healthcare industry, you need to comply to HIPAA. Okay, compliances
Right.
where HIPAA deals with electronically patient health information being stored, right? On the servers or wherever the devices which are dealing with that, right? So definitely hospitals and healthcare companies, okay, like companies who are in the healthcare industries need to go for it, right? So
Right.
they will be having cyber insurance, like even industrial companies who are dealing with the industrial equipments, even, or working on only those, like their IT is not that much dependent, but they have OT devices which we will be talking about in future as well, right? So those OT devices can also malfunction because they are not being upgraded or updated frequently, right? And that might have lead to some kind of hacks, okay, and incidences. So they need to also go for kind of insurances on the cyber part. So see, cyber insurance is definitely required once you are dealing with any kind of customer data, or dealing with like in your IT infrastructure, there are compliances that you need to go for it, right? So
Right.
insurance will be there, and it depends on the companies, how they want to go for it,
Mhm.
right?
That yes. And you mentioned OT. So how significant is the role of OT and weaponized OT? So what kind of changes can we see in that space?
See, in the part of like OT devices are the devices which are actually interacting with the real world, right? Where
Right.
the data of the personal data or whatever data which being collected are being collected by those OT devices. Right? Now the point
Right.
is these OT devices are devices which cannot be, or are not upgraded or updated, okay, frequently. Hmm. So once they are not being updated or upgraded frequently,
Right.
this leads to numerous vulnerabilities, okay, which can be exploited by hackers, okay, and then can be used to malfunction, okay, which can lead to accidents or even to distractions, or whatever way of they want to, or an access to the IT infrastructure, OT leading an access to the IT infrastructure, and the entire organization, enterprise getting compromised, right? So
I see.
these things uh, are a drawback for OT devices in that way, but definitely there are upgradations being made. But yes, they are vulnerable because the on the threat landscape, these are interacting with the real world. So that's where they will be targeted, right?
Mm. Okay. I see what you mean. Um, in talking of this targeting, the world has really sort of been through a lot of challenges in these past couple of years with the pandemic, with a lot of cyberspace attacks and things like that. So I think it's fair to say that it's sort of built a degree of resilience in people. People today are more resilient. What could be said in the same vein about organizational resilience?
Yes, see, during the pandemic uh, and situations which have led to organizations taking this very seriously because of all the incidences which has happened, we have seen even the big companies or top five companies or small and medium sized companies, definitely they are target to cyber attacks, and they had been targeted to different kind of cyber attacks in the past. So yes, the degree of resilience has increased definitely, but the point is they are taking decisions on like there's a gap between management and cybersecurity decision makers in that sense, and interacting and coming on to quick decision makings, okay, because now the incidences are fast, right, more
Right.
fast than it was in previous eras. And due to COVID, work from home situation and other things, data protection is definitely challenging, and it will be challenging in future. But yes,
Correct.
there are steps which are taken by the enterprises, but
Right.
those enterprises need to, like, if it need to be on a larger scale, right, they need to have certain frameworks with them, cybersecurity frameworks, that will help them to have the entire threat landscape, understanding it, okay, and taking effective decisions quickly. Because the faster the decisions are, the minimum the risks are, and that's quite obvious.
All right. And I agree with you. The world is sort of constantly changing, and technology is really growing faster than it ever has before. And working professionals have also sort of begun their evolution, they've begun to evolve. So, what kind of new skills or performance requirements can you predict coming up? Because I see a lot of people, they do courses for personal and professional development, and all of these, the priorities on this has kind of changed. So, what could you predict on what kind of new skills or performance requirements can you predict will sort of come up?
See, as I am from the cybersecurity industry,
Right,
and I have seen the growth, I'm witnessing it. I'm also seeing the future of it. Okay, and not only me, there are evidences available over the internet with all the leading magazines and everything covering it, that the requirement of or the demand for cybersecurity professions will be definitely increasing. Right now, the point is, cybersecurity is a vast and field, right? And every individual, if they're not from IT domain as well, they need to have an understanding, the basic understanding, because they are all digital, right? You are now talking about metaverse, right? You're not now talking about things which you cannot tell that I should not know because I'm not from an IT domain, right?
right,
So you are using those eh, like infrastructures, right? Like metaverse, your Android, your smartphone. Let's go back a few years, right? And in the past, and see the time when the mobile Android mobile phones were used in, or were coming to use, right? And internet, okay, availability was hugely huge, and it was quite easy for individuals to do anything, right? But that led to numerous kind of cyber attacks to individuals, like phishing scams, calls, these Jamtara gangs and other places, right? Then why was this happening, right? Because we
Correct.
had uh, from s- no that there was no training as such, from moving from old age for technological phones to smartest of phones. Okay,
Correct.
and we cannot expect as well the individuals to be trained in that sense. But now the scenario is we are now ready, because we know that we need to work, every individual knows that we need to work and interact with the digital world, right? And digital security is highly important. Personally, as well as where you're working in an organization, you need to know how to deal with the sensitive data, right? So
Right.
understanding of cybersecurity basic frameworks is definitely go for everyone, okay, without any age bar. Professionals who willing to get into the cybersecurity domain, right, they need to pursue in advanced level of threat detections and these things of going into as a SOC analyst, okay, in future, because the demand for SOC analyst will be high. The demand for people who need to go for work in an antivirus companies and understand and decode ransomware attacks will be increasing. So there will be jobs out there, so they need to go for the basic steps of reverse engineering and malware analytics courses. They need to go for, and they need to know that, right? even
Right.
you are an Even you are an manager, or a non-technical person in that sense, and you need to take
Yes,
decisions
sir.
on the technical issues, you need to go for a basic knowledge of cybersecurity and like basic things of cybersecurity, what measures you need to take. Okay, so these are highly important. Is not because not only as we are from cybersecurity industry, but everybody can understand, whoever watching this live, that yes, this is where we are heading to. Yeah, bank employees are getting reduced because banks are moving digital, and anybody working in banks, they need to be knowing that they need to have that much IT skills to work in those banks, and we are seeing it, right? So we can
Right.
understand those old days are gone, and we have all moving to the digital, and we have all moved on to the digital age where data are being produced, right?
Okay. I can see another question has come in. So we're going to ask that now. It's how can we secure our business data as digital threats are evolving continuously?
We had been securing the business data by undergoing vulnerability assessment and penetration testing. Like all the companies who want to go for compliances, they were doing it by force, or and people who companies who really want to secure their IT infrastructure, they were going it willingly. Okay, so these were the two kind of enterprises with the thought,
Right.
right? But
Right.
definitely, if you really want to secure, ideally you need to have an threat monitoring, threat detection available with you, right? And that too in a much more cost effective way, right? So even you're a small company with 2025 employees, your data is also need to be secured, because you might be an unicorn work on a digital platform, right? And you might be dealing with thousands of crores of customers data, right? And
Correct.
you need to have certain platforms where all those like things which are at risk are in front of you. The IT infrastructure is their there's entire vulnerabilities, what they might be, or what kind of actions that you can take should be in front of you, okay, so that you can take
Right.
quick decisions, right? So this is how you can secure your business data in that sense, and that is where the companies are heading towards. Okay, so CISOs are looking
I
for
see.
platforms where they can get these kind of decisions, or at least helping them out to take quick decisions.
Right. Um, uh, Thank you so much for that wonderful question. I
Yeah.
have one more question for you. It's so all of these large changes are sort of coming into place with, you know, a lot of changes in, like you mentioned, weaponized OT, a lot of changes in the systems that are sort of coming in. So, what kind of prediction could you make about changes in legislation and laws? Like I mentioned in the very beginning, Costa Rica really suffered in 2022. because of the situation where they were having attacks on their cyberspace and things, and a lot of on their healthcare systems. So
Hmm.
what I imagine, although to a certain extent, cyber attacks, like Anamika's very valid question was that they're constantly evolving. But what kind of changes in legislation do you see coming up?
See, as we are already moving towards this digital data protection bill, this is just the starting. We had previously personal data protection bill, which was amended. They had more stringent thought of if the penalties and data localizations, which were
Right.
being like in the new digital data protection bill. These things are being little bit relaxed, keeping the enterprises working or businesses working in India, and also like NRI data need to be processed, and the law or the actions regarding the NRI data were bit relaxed in this bill as well. So these things are the first steps by the government, and I definitely support the entire process what Indian government have taken. Why? Because it was not like before it was produced in the parliament for the bill, for the act.
Right.
It was scrutinized, reviewed, and again came back with a bit better. So these are some steps which we can see we are moving up to or going towards protection of personal data. All right.
Right.
So we are very much optimistic, and we are seeing the results, right? And definitely in future there will be laws which will definitely help individuals the personal data to be more protected and secure.
That's a good point. I'm just going to follow up from that. Cybersecurity, like you've very rightly mentioned, is used so vastly, and it's used in healthcare, and it's used in other government facilities, non-government, private organizational facilities. So because it's required so vastly in all industries, do you believe that there are gaps first? That do you believe that there are any gaps in this thing? And as we've discussed, there are. But what steps should an organization take to sort of fill these gaps, and where are these gaps, and how would they fill it up, right?
The gaps are in quick decision making and understanding the vulnerabilities which are already available. Those are unpatched vulnerabilities which are still there, and we are predicting that in 2023 as well those unpatched known vulnerabilities will be again exploited. We
Right.
are too much dependent on open source softwares, okay,
Mhm.
which we are using, and which might because we have seen that the cracks or how to hack into WinRAR, okay, and the entire solution, okay, getting compromising the WinRAR, okay, and getting access to individuals computers was sold those informations, and those entire thing was sold in dark web, okay.
Right.
So these kind of like using of open source, okay, softwares, and these all things will lead to more kind of threats, okay, and
Oh,
hacks in the future, right?
right. Okay. And is it possible to monitor these threats or hacks in real time? There's another question I've see has come up. Thank you so much. It's, is it possible to monitor the enterprise's threats in real time? And is there any app that we can use? Please suggest.
See, these are like in real time you have SOC, okay, and that's an security operations center, and those if you have if you have a security operations center, you need to rely on certain software such as and there are open source applications as well, okay, which are, for example, Alien Vault, okay, you can use it for free for certain IPs, right? But yes, there are applications which you can use, okay, But there is, again I'm telling this, there is nothing, or there is no single platform which can give you the entire threat landscape in front of you, right, and present in front of
Right.
you.
Right. I see. Um, we we're opening the floor to more comments or questions if anybody has anything they'd
Right.
like to say. Um, is there any further things you think, sir, are important for everyone to know coming up into the next year regarding cybersecurity? Something you believe that,
See, the prediction, if I'm going to wrap up with, is the cloud environment will be more vulnerable to attacks. Different attacks will be there in the cloud environment. Using of open source softwares in small and medium sized companies will lead to more kind of known vulnerability attacks, even, or unknown vulnerability attacks, which we have seen, which I've already talked about in the WinRAR, or things which are available in the dark web, how to exploit those things.
Right.
Is every company is generating huge amount of data and dealing with huge amount of personal data of customers, okay, whether it be big or medium sized companies or small companies. And with
Right.
coming the bills and acts, they need to go for different kind of compliances, but actually monitoring those compliances in a pretty easy way or effective way is important. Yes, there are challenges to hire individual cybersecurity professional and then also rely on different tools. But
Right.
companies who will be having like platforms like what we have, safe security operation, like secured artificial intelligence based vulnerability assessment tool for enterprise, okay, which actually have can show you the web interface, okay, how it is secure and how much score you are getting on a scale of 10, and what kind of remediation actions that you can take. You have network, okay, you have cloud, you have other tools which like Nessus and Acunit, your burp suit and other tools which you can integrate with. You can integrate SOC directly with save, right? So how you
Right.
can integrate different tools like Wazoo and other SIEM tools, right? So which can be integrated, right? So this kind of platforms on a subscription basis available to like enterprises will solve
Right.
much of a problem, in that sense, like they can at least understand and cover up the major things. Like, I'm not telling that you will be 100% secure, nobody can guarantee, right? But the
Right.
point is, you need to see your main doors are locked, okay,
Right.
and then you can ask us to try and hack into and do a penetration testing and see how you can get inside it and how much you can threat us, right, or how much did like we are at risk, right? That is the penetration
Right.
testing part. But the vulnerability assessment part of understanding the major risk, okay, and then closing all those or taking necessary actions to protect all those infrastructure, okay, in a single platform, okay, where your cloud, where your network, where your web, where your existing your cybersecurity tools can be integrated, okay, giving the inputs of real data, okay, and giving you an platform, okay, where you can assess all your risk, okay, at one in one dashboard. That is actually helping you all, right? That will be helping on that there are other tools as well which is doing the same, okay, but cost effective way will help the small and medium sized companies to have it and use it and protect their data and environment.
I'm glad you mentioned small scale businesses because our next question actually from YouTube is there's some small scale businesses that cannot invest big for cybersecurity right away due to budget crunch. So what would be your suggestions for them? I believe you
Yeah,
partially answered this, but please, yes.
yeah. Yes. So that is the issue. Like, we have more than 90,000 startup registrations, I think, in 2022, right?
Right.
Uh, and these these are companies which will be, few of them will be unicorns, right?
Right.
But if they are being hacked, or if they are being attacked, or if their data is being compromised, they need to see, they cannot dream of those kind of bad days, right? So
Correct.
that is at risk. So these, yes, definitely they need to they need to get like applications, SaaS platforms, uh, for their companies that can give a 360 view of their critical assets, and they can move on, right?
See.
So yes, save will be definitely and best fit kind of an product for small and medium sized company, right? On a subscription basis, they can use the services, okay, have a continuous monitoring services as well, VPN, giving access with biometric and like these kind of login accesses, okay, controlling your internal data, also giving platforms for upgrading your employees and get themselves trained in cybersecurity, which is hugely required for employees who are working in your company to get to know and to practice themselves on kind of phishing attacks if they're coming, right? How to react on those kind of things. So these kind of training, video based trainings are also available in the Save platform, okay. So a single platform which is not only giving you a vulnerability management, okay, and risk assessment, is also helping you to progress further and take the next leap in the cybersecurity stage, right? Where you can minimize the risk, and as a small and medium sized company, that is required at first go. Then once you have funds, or you are thinking of taking it very seriously, cybersecurity risks, then you can actually do the penetration testing, the manual services, okay, which we also provide, right? But the
Right.
assessing of risk of all the platforms which you have in a single dashboard is critical, uh, which we have provided in this save environment, right? And it is also subscription based, so that it becomes easy for you to subscribe to and get a license of this application, use it, okay. And then if you like it, you can go for next level of subscriptions and get the
Right.
manual assistant, the virtual CIO or CSO, okay, which we provide, okay. The entire SOC team also, which will be giving the feeding data directly into your like
System.
dashboard, right? So these
Yeah.
are the different level of services which are there once you're an enterprise level subscriber of the Save environment.
Okay. And cyber the person who asked the question says, thank you so much. Thank you for asking this wonderful question. Um, so again, I'll open up the space to questions and comments right now. And I wanted to also say thank you so much, sir, because your thoughts and your perspective and your
You're welcome.
predictions have been very, very important in helping us understand in the upcoming year and how to sort of stay safe on a digital basis on organizational and personal level. And so thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you so much for your time. And for everyone else who's watching, thank you so much for joining us as well. And we hope that you stay safe digitally. Please remember to contact us or connect with us to help you secure your business. Our information is below, or you can also contact us on one of our social medias, and we would be accessible to you there. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. It's
Thank you.
been a pleasure talking with you.